Hey guys, I'm going to talk to you today about two programs that you can use to increase productivity in your operations. The first one is Boomerang, the second one is Streak. You can use these in Google. They are both free. They do have paid versions as well. When using Streak, you can use it to follow up on prospects. You can follow up with everyone you met at a conference. You can manage clients through the pipeline. You can also cut down on the time that you send emails using Snippets. For Boomerang, you can use that so you don't lose track of emails, proposals, potential clients. You can track movement on emails, as well as figure out if that person that you emailed is maybe out of town or not. You can make sure clients also don't know you're working on weekends, and you can make sure time wasters don't fully waste all of your time. So I'll kind of show you how you can do that with these two programs. You go over here and you click New, and it'll pop up here. You can choose from a bunch of different templates already. There's Sales CRM, or you can develop your own blank one right here and customize it. I'm just going to click Sales CRM to get the ball rolling. Give access only to private. And here we go. So you have all these different parts of the pipeline right here. You have the leads. You can put leads in there. You can change the name here easily, but just by clicking it and typing it in. And you can see where everyone is as this whole entire, as you go on through this. So you could type in all the leads here from potential clients. And when you do that, you could hit this new box, type in, Bob, right? He's in the lead stage, right? And then, but what you could do is you can have a phone call with him, and maybe while you're on that phone call, realize, hey, I gave him the pitch. And so then he's going to move over to the pitch category. And so you can see him here now. He's in this pitch column. We have one right here. And as you start typing in more and more people, you'll start seeing where there's a bottleneck forming potentially, right? There's a bunch of problems with pitch, but nobody gets to demo, or maybe at demo, and very few people actually get to negotiating. And here you can see your win-loss right here, right? With the lost and the won. I'd also suggest if you put something in here, maybe put something regarding like no reply and very cold no reply. So you can find out how many people you just lose in this overall pipeline right here, because these guys told you, that they're not interested, but sometimes people just don't even respond. So you might want to add additional one, and you just go by over here and add something. So it's cold, no reply, right? And then it'll add another one right there. See? And then you can easily move people up and down, as well as these columns right here. You can additionally add a bunch of stuff here. What's really sweet is you put in emails, and it'll show you date of last email. So if you have a bunch of leads that you then contacted right here, you can then start seeing, how long was the oldest one in there, right? You can click it and sort it via sort by date of last email, newest or oldest. So if you put the oldest first, well, then it'll end up happening, right? The old ones will be in the back, and then you can start working your way and trying to see if you can loosen up some of those potential clients and keep moving them on through the pipeline to either get a yes or no, or kind of answer some of their questions and maybe restart the process all over again with another pitch and another demo. So that's if you want to plug it all in through the pipeline. Additionally, as you're just going through your emails, you can plug things in just by clicking this little box right here, and it'll pop some stuff up. So you click that box, and then sometimes it'll pop up some suggestions and say, hey, add to an existing box. So we could add that to, let's say, Johnny, or if this was a completely new person, what we could do is click here, create brand new box. So we're going to click that. We could add it through different pipelines, and we're going to add it to the sales CRM one, because I have different pipelines I use. So right here we see it. We have in the lead stage, right? And then if you set up the email, so when it comes from your website, your contact form, you can have it require a phone number, and you could type that in. You could also additionally put some notes in here. So called such and such a person on such and such a date, right? So you could put 10:30, 31, left voicemail, right? And you know what's going on. Other people can also access this. You have lead sources, so phone, website, email, or potentially another person. And what's interesting is you type in this information, it'll create these like snippets, and you can kind of keep reusing them over and over again. So what we can do here is let's pretend that Johnny right here, Jonathan, myself, is a potential client. So what I can do is hit reply. Then what it'll do is it'll pop up here. We have these different buttons. So I'll show you, this is the buttons here for Streak, and these ones here are also, there's some here for Streak, there's some here for Boomerang. It gets confusing which one exactly, but you click Snippets, and then I have different ones I can use to email back to this person, but say, hey, I can say, look at this, FAQs. I don't want to answer all the questions that this Johnny boy wants to ask me. Here's an FAQ page I created, which should help answer many of your questions regarding pricing. Yeah, I mean, you can add a bunch of other ones. Here's a larger one for night, right? So I have a giant response here for night waivers, and then I can quickly just attach a file, and then we can move on, so I don't have to waste a lot of time on potential contacts who contact me. And then what's sweet here is if you go to the bottom, what you can do is you always click Boomerang. So Boomerang, what'll happen is, I'll talk more about how you can use that feature, but what I do is click that within a week or two, depending upon how quickly I want to move with the process. 1 week or 2 weeks. If no reply, then what'll end up happening is when I hit send, it will then kick it back into my email box if whoever the intended recipient of this email is does not reply within 1 week. That way I can kind of keep this whole process moving. And additionally, when I send this, there's a tracking pixel let's actually put into these emails, and it'll track where it is viewed from, what time, and what device, so you can kind of see what's going on. It might show that they're doing something on their iPhone. You can see that they're on the road. It might move around a couple different times, and especially if you're contacting larger clients, you might email, let's say, somebody in major city like Atlanta, right? And then all of a sudden you see the email gets opened up in LA. Well, it might tell you that it got forwarded off to someone else in the department in the company that's checking things out. Another feature here is also with this send later right here. What you can do is you can click send later, and you can have it go out to either tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, in 2 days, if nobody replies, in 1 hour, something like that. So this comes in very, very handy if you're working on weekends and you don't want your clients knowing that you're working on weekends or later in the evening. So if, like, for instance, I'm doing this at 7:59 at night and I don't want clients contacting me, this time and expecting a reply. So what I might do is just click right here, tomorrow morning. So we can hit schedule, send out later, and right before I do that, I can just click contacted, right, saving it, and then I could hit send now or send later. So then I click back to Sales CRM, came back into here, and we can see date of last email, October the 31st. And so I know when to kind of switch back and, call them up again. Additionally, I have Boomerang that's going to kick it back in a week if Johnny does not reply. Additionally, we know Bob, he's been pitched, and if we quickly get a phone call, we can easily move him in and out of these different areas. So let's go back to this email here. Click here, email, test, it'll open it back up. And so let's say we were following up from a conference. How would we, respond to that? Let's say, hey, Johnny, we met you at one of these latest drone conferences. It was a pleasure to meet you. So what you could do here is go to reply, and then you can click Snippets. And what you can also do is you can manage snippets as well as create snippets. So let's say we go to this brand new and new snippet 13. We can call that conference, right? So I just finished typing in some text here. So hello, you could always just remember, put the text in there. There's also some code you can put in there that extracts the first name. So if you have like a first name, last name, you can put that in there. So it can have hello, Johnny, right? And it'll actually auto-populate that. It was a pleasure to meet you at Drone Conference. And so also when you go back to those different categories, you can actually change those to determine whether or not you want to put in like how you met that person, right? Was it a phone call? Was it at a drone conference? For future reference, so that you can keep it in your CRM. And so you could put that in there and have it auto-populate. Or you could just straight up leave it like this. I hope your time there was profitable and you made valuable connections. I would love to follow up with you on blah, blah, blah. You could have maybe like 3 or 4 different pitches depending upon how you talk to that person, right? So on the back of business cards, typically if I might want to contact that person later on, I'll write down a quick little note saying, hey, follow up with this person regarding blah, blah, blah. And so if you have a standard kind of email response with like 3 different falling off points, if that makes any sense, please let me know if you need such and such a services. I think you would be interested in this article, right? I would love to follow up with you and have a phone call, something like that. Then all you would need to do is whenever you would create this snippet here, So I'm going to go over to Snippet, click it, and then click conference, right? So I have these and I realize, oh, for that particular guy, I just would like to have a phone call. So I might just delete that, and then I would like to, follow up with you on blah, 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 right? You click, please give me a phone call. Have a nice day, right? You click Boomerang, make sure he gets back to me within 1 week. Do I send it now, or do I send it later, tomorrow morning? How do I want to do that? Sometimes I might just, if I get back from like a weekend, on a weekend, like so on a Saturday, might just plug all these in so that they all go out on a Monday morning, maybe like 9, 10 p.m., something like that. So I can then start trying to move on those as the week goes on. Additionally, notice that with Boomerang here, if not clicked, if not open, regardless, you can have it go back for multiple reasons. I just put if no reply, and then I track what's going on sometimes. So if I see that there's no movement, I might follow up with them with a phone call. Keep in mind that this also doesn't work always, because what it is a tracking pixel, and so some browsers and email service providers, they intentionally do not open the pixels, and so there's no tracking. So you might have a 0 and they did open it. Keep in mind that's larger companies, government agencies and stuff. Some of them those do that, so it's not like a 100% track record here. Keep that in mind. So we talked about following up on prospects. You talked about following up with everyone we maybe met at a conference or an event. You can manage clients going through the pipeline by either just entering them, or as the emails come in, you can just add them to the pipelines, creating new ones as they come in, using snippets to kind of speed up the process. And the snippets are going to greatly cut down on the overall amount of time you use to respond to your potential clients. Now with Boomerang, you're going to use that for, making sure that you do not lose track of any emails, proposals, potential clients. That, because right, we've all had those situations where we send off an email, hey, get back to me on such and such, thinking that Bob on the other side was going to respond back with an email, and he didn't. He dropped the ball. Well, Boomerang is going to prevent that, and so then you follow up with another email to Bob, hey Bob, hey, what's going on? Or you might respond, do a quick phone call to Bob to find out what is going on. You can also use it for tracking emails, figuring out if that person's out of town or not. But remember, you might get a false positive there and think that person is, maybe out of town. They haven't opened your email, when in reality they have. They just have the tracking pixels suppressed by their email service provider. You can use it to make sure your clients know that, to make sure your clients do not know you're working later in the evenings or on weekends. So that way you don't have them bugging you. Kind of want to train them to be operating with you, right? Only 9 to 5, not in these weird off hours. And another interesting trick is if you have someone, responding to you or emailing you out of the clear blue, asking for some information, sometimes it's better to send an email about an hour or two later, or maybe, hey, next day, next morning. Because what I've noticed is when people get an immediate email response right back, right? You might be going through all your emails. Somebody hits you and you see it says, hey, this was just sent about 10 minutes ago. Well, I would suggest not responding right back unless you think they're a potential client. If you don't know so, just respond back the next day by using the send later feature. Reason why is I've just noticed that whenever you respond via email, people tend to be very they try to ask a lot of questions, waste a lot of your time, and you can almost turn into like chat rooms and stuff. When people get emails where they're there's the period of time in between, they tend to go and try to find the questions and think this thing's out themselves. So people become lazy when they get instant responses with emails. So that's why I typically try to follow up with an email like the next morning, so I don't get stuck in this back and forth, because they know you're right there, right? They're like, you just sent me an email, and then now I responded back. Now to my second email, you won't respond back immediately, and so that's one way to get around that. Additionally, it's either Boomerang or Streak, one of them. I don't remember which one it is, but it'll actually show in real time who actually opens your emails. So at the bottom right of your screen, it'll pop up with this little window saying such and such a person just opened up email such and such. And so it's a really good time to follow up with that person, since you know that they're at their desk right there opening the emails, especially if they're being difficult to try to get a hold of. So you might want to keep that in mind. So I hope this tutorial is very informative for you, so that you can use Boomerang or Streak in your drone business, or really just in business and life in general, so you can be more productive and you can save time.